Hey, and welcome everybody to the Women Gone Rogue Real Talk Salon for Trailblazing Entrepreneurs. I am joined here with Gina, and we are getting ready for this show to go on the road. Be sure to opt in. This is just a little teaser of what's in store for you for the next 8 days. So October 1st through 8th, you're going to have access to interviews with a bunch of kick-ass, awesome, pioneering women entrepreneurs who Gina's going to interview me, and we're going to give you a framework for what this is all about and why you should join us.
Hey everyone, and hey Nicole, thank you for this extraordinary opportunity to be on the other side of the interview table. It actually takes me back to my roots as a journalist 25 years ago, so this is fun. And I'm so excited because what you're doing sings to my heart. It's so near and dear to my purpose and passion, and I so celebrate you. And I'm so excited for everything that will be birthed and all the ripples that will come from this beautiful talk salon that you're putting together. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
So Women Gone Rogue, I even love the title. Let's start in that space. Where did that come from? And what does it mean to be a woman gone rogue?
Well, it came from actually just a fun conversation, bouncing things back and forth with a friend of mine to come up with a name for our mastermind, actually. And we had names like shit disturbers, cultural disruptors,
Right.
all of these names that kind of have this rebellious, kind of gritty tinge to them. But it's actually what's true is that going rogue at this time in comparison to our mainstream culture is just being authentically you, which I wish wasn't rogue. I wish it wasn't a rebellious act. I mean, that's kind of the hope of this whole thing, is that you being authentic to you becomes the new normal, and it's not rogue anymore. But right now it's rogue, and to really understand that it's not easy to be authentically yourself in the environment that we're in. And especially as a woman leader, a woman with a vision, a woman with a mission and a calling that very often is counter culture, counter conditioning. So this event is to support all of you who are fit into that category, to be more audacious, to be more unapologetic, and for all of us to kind of rise together and feel supported and feel more confident in, wait a minute, I'm right on. Like, I'm right on, despite what all the feedback I'm getting. No, like, I'm right on, and just to keep going and go bigger.
I had a male, I'll call him a male ally, friend of mine. I was in conversation, and he said to me recently, it must be really difficult, really, really difficult to be a woman in today's day and age. And my gut response to him was, I could not be more excited to be a woman at this point in time in history, knowing that right now everything is changing, that we can be catalysts for the change that is happening and for what's to come. And I feel actually there's no other time in history that I would rather be alive than right now, because our time has come and we are being called en masse to be rogue, as you say, which sounds like counter culture, as you say, but to actually normalize women in their power, in leadership, in the ways that most naturally we can show up to serve humanity. So I'm really curious around what this was birthed from. What I would love to know, Nicole, is that maybe tell us a little bit of what brought you to this point in time, because working with women for so long, I hear the rumblings of women being called, like these little tugs or these little nudges to be called into a leadership role. And leadership doesn't necessarily have to mean entrepreneurial, we are leaders in every which. We are leaders within the home. We are leaders in our relationships. What we demand from one another. We're leaders in whether we have a corporate job, and as teachers, whatever we do. But what is it that called you invited you into this space to show up in such a huge, profound, and frightening way?
Yeah, I love that question. It's so fun being not the interviewer.
Yeah.
I just get to answer a question.
Yeah.
It really stems from, interestingly, this deep, profound connection I have to children, which I get teary about because, and innocence, and nature. I have a very rich past in deep nature connection and animal tracking, survival skills, like a whole nother life. And part of that was taking from, all of us have indigenous ancestors, otherwise we wouldn't be alive. And kind of like these universal truths of our indigenous ancestors. And a big part of community and culture was really supporting people to be in their gifts. Like that's what the whole framework of the culture. And with that diversity of each person's unique gift coming out, then there's that secured their survival. Right. And so there's profound understanding in that world, in our ancestry, of how to really support somebody's gifts. And I feel like, who knows, in the last 300 years, 400 years, I don't know how long it's been going on, but I feel like there's really been this turn of like, let's dumb everyone down. Let's, put a cap on their soul's light and calling and make them good workers, basically. And it just hits me so hard, especially when I see it in children, when they're in the school system or in whatever, church, whatever. All of it is like, conform, fit in, like, shut that down, quiet it down. And I really feel like each person really connecting with that and being supported in that, because it was a community effort. We were never meant to be alone and trying to figure out who the hell we are. In fact, it's pretty much impossible because we're just in it. And then you add all the backlash and all the feedback that right now is counter to people expressing their gifts, and it's even more impossible.
I love that. Yeah, I feel. I wonder if your audience feels this too. I feel this movement away from this expert paradigm, where it's like we would go to the doctor to determine what's wrong with us. We go to, we look to politics to fix what ails us. Even parents are like the experts over their children, like they're dominant. And now we've even seen a shift now with conscious parenting, understanding that the child has its own intuitive knowing that to hold space for that. I mean, in almost every domain in the education system, I can see that that idea that you're talking about, where there's this hierarchy and there's this expert and then there's like the learner underneath. And I think we're moving into more of an education-based paradigm where we see, like you said, every person brings equally their innate gifts that contribute to the whole. And what a beautiful shift that is, to invite everyone into the shift, the opportunity to heal one another and learn from one another. It's so beautifully expressed, and we have so much to learn from our indigenous ancestors. What specifically in your life was the turning point where you said, you know what, I feel this, and now I know I have to do something, or I have to create something, or this needs to be birthed in me? Was there a turning point, or was it just you came to a point where you're like, I can't contain it anymore? What happened?
Yeah, there were numerous turning points. I have always been, I don't know, my brainwashing wasn't thorough enough. So I've been,
They dropped the ball on you.
I'm like, dude, that's not cool. Like, I'm not in the Matrix, like, I wish it was, thorough, because it's been really, it's really hard not realizing, oh, I'm getting all this backlash. I mean, I got kicked out of the Mormon church. I got kicked out of Girl Scouts, like everywhere I've gone, just being me. I wasn't like intentionally being an a-hole, just being me. And I don't even fit in the like gender spectrum. I've like very masculine side. I started the women's first skateboard company, and just didn't fit the bill. And no matter how hard I tried, I didn't. And I think that's why I have such a soft spot in my heart, just from my own experience with children, and just seeing how freaking creative and awesome they are. And
Until we train that out of them, right? Until we like.
Totally. Yeah, I just watched the light dim, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for what I'm doing now with Women Gone Rogue, it's kind of a long story that I'm not going to tell, but I got to a place where I was doing my purpose, my passion. I created the life of my dreams. And it wasn't even like the typical, like, oh, a corporate job, house, kids. Like, I had an eco village, intentional community, like all the like out there stuff I had created. And I was just miserable. And which is
Why?
weird, because I was ignoring myself. I self-abandoned like crazy, and I was taking care of everybody else. And a lot of it was fear. Even though I was out, I wasn't really, like I was hiding still, which wasn't obvious. And certainly I didn't realize. Mm-hmm. And through my kids actually is what woke me up, because I was I woke up and I was disconnected from them, and I saw myself giving them the message like, you don't matter.
I'm curious, what were the signs? Because when it's so intriguing to me when you say, I didn't even realize it. Like, here I am living the dream. Yeah. I was actually out there doing the thing, which I thought was my, or maybe was my purpose. Yeah. Had the kids, so what, looking back, because we can't see it often when we're in the thick of it. Yeah, but looking back, what would you say were some of the signs that you were out of alignment? Totally. When you said, I abandoned myself, what were some of the signs of self-abandonment? I think it's helpful for us to hear.
Totally. Well, it was an actual moment that it really was, I couldn't not see it. And I was listening to a guided meditation, and it was like first time in a year that I was taking a bath by myself. And I had 2 little kids and running a business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening, and in the very beginning, she says, okay, I want you to go back over the last month of your life and find one moment of pure joy. And then she goes on, like, it's like, take a second. And I'm just going through my file cards, and I can't think of, I go months, I go years, and it's all riddled with worry, fear, my to-do list, multitasking, like things that should have been, really enjoyable. My kid's first birthday, whatever. Like, I went beyond even before I got married, and I couldn't think of anything because it was just like riddled with busyness and not really being present. And it hit me at this really deep place, and I was like, holy shit, I have no joy in my life. I have everything I want and no joy.
I'm wondering, the people who are listening to this, how many resonate with that? Because I'm just asking myself as you're speaking, pure joy. First, I have to define it. Yeah. So let's define. I mean, what would be when you say pure joy, what does that mean to you? And then I'm thinking about what it means to me, and let's start
Yeah.
there. Pure
Yeah.
joy means what to you?
For me, it begins with pure presence. Just
Okay.
like whatever is happening in that moment, like I am fully there for it and just experiencing in
Mm,
my body, in my senses, in my emotions, like a real full visceral experience.
mm,
Even if I'm crying or, you know, like just, I just feel like it's just being with what is.
mm. That's a beautiful place to start. I mean, how many times are we, I know for me with my kids, but also distractedly cooking or even driving. Like sometimes I get from A to B. I'm like, how did I even get here? Like my mind is somewhere else. Or even lovemaking. Like I'm in my, do I look like am I like, I mean, how many times are we fully present in the
Totally.
moment? Like right now, if you're listening to this, like feeling your butt in your seat, or hearing, or like that's such a huge point right there, because we're usually either in the past or in the future. How often are we really in that moment?
Yeah, you
Beautiful.
know, the weird thing is that when I had that epiphany, I was like, oh, I'll just, you know, take a couple weeks and I'll fix this and, you know, I'll incorporate more joy in my
Go
life,
for
you
a
know?
manicure. It'll fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
amazing how many layers of unraveling and clearing away the clutter. I don't even know how to explain it, but it took me years, years and years to where I got to many moments all day long of pure joy. And that could be a whole nother call.
Yeah. So if you're, and so not certainly, and I resonate with that, because it's taken me a long time too. And
Yeah.
I still, I mean, I always say, when you're done, you're dead. So I never say I'm on the other side and I have pure joy all day long. And that's not even the goal for me anymore. Progress, not perfection. But
Yeah.
if anyone's listening and they're like, oh my God, years, like I get what it really is possible with, or let's talk about that. Is it possible? How do you begin that journey that doesn't feel so overwhelming, like, oh my God, it's going to take me years? But for anyone listening who's like, pure joy, pure presence, pure peace in this moment, what that feels so foreign to me, or it's so rare for me, how can I start to cultivate more of that in my life, in my daily experience? What would you suggest?
Well, I suggest a timer. Set it for 2 minutes. And I started this with my kids actually. And I was like, okay, I can handle 2 minutes of presence. Like put my phone away, put the sponge away, whatever, and just be with them and whatever they want to do. Like be with just what they are excited about. So getting out of like, oh, my agenda and all that stuff. And it's amazing to witness the voice that's like, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, like this is taking too long. And then there's the logical part that's like, it's only 2 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
only 2 minutes. And that really, really helped me to be a witness to how frantic
Mm,
this intellect part of myself was. And
yeah.
taking 2 minutes to just be in your sensuality, like just
Mhm,
feeling and feeling
mhm,
how that feels, you know,
yeah.
taking 2 minutes, time yourself putting your lotion on
Love it.
and
Mhm,
being present with what you're doing. And even if you can only handle 30 seconds, do 30 seconds, like whatever you know you can do and like be as present as possible. 15 seconds, I don't care. It
yeah.
can seem like an eternity when you're really slowing down that much
Yeah.
presence
Yeah.
wise.
I love that. I know for my kids, it started off really ambitious. Like I'm going to do dinner every day at dinner. I'm just going to be so immersed in them. And it was hard because dinner was like, did you do your homework? And, blah, blah, blah. And so I started to do like bedtime. Could I just be with them just a couple minutes before lying in bed? I love that. I love setting a timer. I think that's a great idea, because um, I think if we don't, it can feel like an eternity and feel like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think
I
we
do
have
it
these
now with
ideas.
my coffee in the morning. Like I do like a coffee
Yeah,
meditation. But
totally.
yeah, so that's a
We
great
have these
idea.
ideas like, oh, I got to take a 7-day vacation
Right.
to
Right.
feel present. And then that can feel overwhelming. It's like the money and the time, and vacations with kids usually kind of suck because it's just a lot of work. It doesn't feel like a vacation, you know?
Oxymoron, family vacation. Yeah.
Yeah. So the timer really, really helped me.
Nice.
And I didn't even realize that I had arrived. So I had that moment in the back. And then years later, I was just like, Jesus, like I made this commitment to joy in my life and to change my life, really. And a lot came apart: my marriage, my business with my partner, my house, like pretty much everything just gone. And I was talking to her and she said, my friend, and I'm like, when am I going to arrive? Like, I'm so tired and over this. And she said, you know that Rolling Stones song, you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you'll find, whatever it says, you'll get what you need. And I was on her labyrinth in her yard. So it's like a walking labyrinth. And while I was walking, I was like remembering like, oh, I wanted joy. And then I remembered back to when I had no joy. Like I couldn't think of joy for years. And I was just like, I can think of 5 things just this morning.
Ooh.
And I was just like, oh my God, I arrived. Like,
Yeah.
this perception that like, oh, I don't have all my shit together. So, but I've really found that presence and joy are my ultimate goal, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think what you're calling up in me is an idea that we need to redefine for ourselves what success or a good life really is, because it's not, being in a state of constant euphoria. It's not getting, the body or getting the X number of dollars. And those are worthy goals if that's what's important to you. But it really is that um, reclamation
Yes.
of our peace, the reclamation of our sovereignty, of ourselves, like taking back the power and not
Exactly.
letting life have its way with us, but reclaiming, like for you, I reclaim my right to have joy every day. And
Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful the way that you made a commitment to yourself, and then it became so much a part of your day and your ritual that you wake up going, oh my God, look at the changes. And sometimes they're subtle. We think the
Totally.
changes have to be like, Nicole, you've lost 50 pounds. The changes can be subtle and beautiful. That's
Exactly.
lovely.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm curious, like for those people listening, this week precipitates a lot of conversations, a lot of people from different um, philosophies, different streams of life, different life experiences are going to be sharing tools and awarenesses and experiences that are going to give all of the listeners an opportunity to get ideas. I call it like adding to your tool belt, right? It's like, oh, that one feels good to me. I'm going to do 2 minutes a day, or, that feels good to me. I'm going to like put lotion all over my body once a day, feel really present or whatever. And so tell me a little bit about the people who will be part of this, part of these conversations, what they can expect from
Yeah.
listening and investing a little bit of time, because time is our greatest resource, investing time and listening to some of these interviews.
Yeah.
What's your hope for them? What is your hope for these women gone rogue,
Yeah.
or
Thank
potentially
you.
going rogue?
I really am hoping that this catalyzes a movement. Like one of the themes is redefining business as usual. And what you were just describing and what I was describing in my story, because it's still so easy to get caught up because you're seeing everyone around you. And if you're an entrepreneur, there's a certain way that you do it and certain markers of success. And, you know, people are walking around in their mansion and like, like I've got the life. And often I know who those people are and I know how their lives actually are. And it's like, oh, no, like redefining success and doing it so radically different. So some of the priorities that the movement, I feel it's come in from many of the speakers, like these new business priorities, new business best practices. So resting, pausing, following our natural cycles as women, because our cycles, female bodied people, are different than men. Men are on a 24-hour cycle. We're on the moon cycle. We cycle with the moon monthly. There's so many things that are unique to us that are just so counter in the business world of like, you know, this is how you have success. And having success all the way through, like it's, you know, I'm successful right now, not like I'm going to be successful when I get this, and creating a business that is regenerative, that feeds you, that keeps you healthy. That's a huge hazard of powerful women, successful women. They just get taken down. Like every person I've interviewed has had a burnout, some sort of autoimmune disease, illness, cancer, something that has taken them out because they weren't listening. So a movement of people who are like, we are committed to doing this differently in a way that really honors who we are physically, emotionally, spiritually, and listening. Like you said, like the guru world is kind of coming to an end, and being your own guru and like ways to really deeply listen for the answers that are right here inside of you, and being celebrated and encouraged when you're inspired and you're coming from that place. It's just like, oh, hell yeah. Like do that crazy thing.
Yeah, I love it. I love that it's a whole new way of doing business. I mean, inviting and celebrating a woman to tap into her own intuitive knowing. So we're going to hear from a whole range of women. Totally. And it's really about saying this, like paying attention. This might be a practice in actually paying attention and being present in our body. Like, what is it that this woman says that really resonates or awakens something or enlivens something or energizes me? I'm going to take that tool and put it in my pocket. Just being really in tune with, don't just listen because that's what worked for her, but really paying attention to what enlivens something in you and trusting that you know what's best for you. And that's what I love about hearing from a variety of women on a spectrum, because then we can hear all of these ideas and we can be selective and intuitive about knowing what is the best fit for us. And that's what's so beautiful about what you're putting together. So I thank you for working on this with and putting your love and intention and your wishes and serving all of us in this way. I think it's so very beautiful. Tell us, for those who have listened to this and want to continue and make sure that they don't miss anything, how can they make sure that they get all of the interviews, and also how they can share it with people who they know would be really empowered by this?
Yeah, so right here, wherever you're seeing this, there's going to be a link to opt in. It's free. The event is totally free. And you will have access over the 8 days, October 1st through 8th. You'll have access to the speakers. There's 3 speakers, like keynote speakers a day. And then we have roundtables. So certain topics we're having discussions about. And I want to say that there are, like, these women are cutting edge for what I'm talking about, like the tools and also the inspiration to see that you can do it differently and have profound success and like holistic success and the redefined success, because these women are on the leading edge and they're doing it. Like you are one of them. So, and we're all in this together. It's not like one person has figured it out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my idea was, let's have like a barn raising together and this collective, let's put it all in the pot. So yeah, you can watch each person. All you have to do is opt in, and you'll be getting access to the interviews, and then join us in the Facebook group. You'll get an email that'll show you how to join us in the Facebook group, and there the discussion is lively. The speakers are in there commenting, sharing stuff. It's a really juicy conversation going on. So I invite you to get on board and be a woman
Yes.
gone rogue together.
Yeah, these are exciting times, and I love that it's back to back, because it's an immersive opportunity. It's like, let's not just dip our toe in, but let's really go there. Let's go
Yeah.
there. I know that the conversations are going to be rich and juicy and provocative, which is exciting. Like, I think we really are ready to have these conversations. And again, on behalf of everyone who's going to benefit from this, thank you for creating this space, this container for us. Thank you for including me personally. I feel so blessed, and big love to you and to all the women who will be joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for interviewing me. So fun.
Pleasure.
All right, y'all. We'll see you there. October 1st. Yeah.